What's going on, you guys? Frost here, and I'm back with another guide. This time we'll be talking about Kindred Jungle. The following subjects will be mentioned in this guide: champion description, abilities, leveling order, runes, masteries, the item build, ending off with the jungle routes. If you want to go to a specific subject, you can click on it right now. Champion description. Kindred is a really good jungler that skills insanely well. She has an insane amount of sustain in the jungle, so much that it's actually difficult to even have any problems clearing. The only thing that holds her back from clearing is her mana cost. Kindred is also great at doing Dragon and Baron because she has so much percentage health damage as her passive is not capped. Besides all this, she also has insane amounts of mobility and is very good at kiting the enemy because of the slow from her E. And to finish this off, she can pretty much give herself a free Tryndamere ult to turn around a lot of situations. Overall, if you like playing a champion that is very mobile with high damage output, Kindred is definitely the champion for you. Kindred's abilities. Her passive, Mark of the Kindred. Both Lamp and Wolf mark targets the Hun. Scoring a takedown on a marked target permanently empowers Lamp's basic attacks to deal 1.25% of her target's current health bonus on hit physical damage, stacking with each mark consumed. Lamp is offered a selection of champions to take down, which is hidden while in combat with an enemy champion. Once selected, there's an 8-second delay before the mark can be collected, and Lamp can change her target after 90 seconds, if the target hasn't died in that time. Targets successfully hunted cannot be targeted again for 4 minutes. Wolf periodically selects a random monster camp within the enemy jungle or the Rift Scuttler, excluding epic monsters, and highlights the camp to both teams, starting at 2 minute 30. This stops upon acquiring 6 stacks. The mark is removed upon the monster camp's death, even if Kindred are not involved. This passive is what gives Kindred a lot of their damage, so try to be on top of stacking this up, and as a jungler, just select the target you are about to gank. If you choose a correct gank, the chances of getting the kill are pretty much guaranteed, so free stacks all around. Her first ability, Dance of Arrows. Lamp dashes in the target direction and fires up to 3 homing arrows on arrival upon the 3 nearest targets, dealing physical damage to each. Lamp's current attack target at any proximity will be prioritized by one of the bolts. Casting Wolf's Frenzy or dashing inside of Wolf's territory will reduce the cooldown of Dance of Arrows to 2 seconds. This is your main damage skill for clearing your jungle camps, as it pretty much hits all the monsters in the camp with an exception to the Wraiths, because there are more than 3 monsters in that camp. You can also use this skill to get around your jungle faster by using it to hop over walls. Don't think that you can only use the skill whilst you're in Wolf's territory, because the cooldown will also go down to 2 seconds upon activating it. Her second ability, Wolf's Frenzy. Passively, Lamp builds stacks of Hunter's Vigor as she moves around, up to 100. Once fully stacked, her next basic attack heals her for 60 plus 3 times Kindred's level. Upon activation, Wolf claims a small area as his territory for the next 8 seconds, separating from Lamp. Wolf attacks targets within the area autonomously, prioritizing Lamp's attack target. Wolf's basic attacks scale with 50% of Kindred's bonus attack speed and deal physical damage, equal to a base plus 40% of the mark of the Kindred damage. Once you leave the territory, this skill ends immediately. The passive effect from this ability is where Kindred's insane jungle sustain comes from. But in order for this sustain to work, you want to make sure you always keep moving when you're attacking the camps to get the stacks back. Her third ability, Mounting Dread. Lamp cripples the target unit, slowing them by 70% for 1 second. If Lamp manages to attack the target twice in the next 4 seconds of each other, her third attack in the next 4 seconds after instead directs Wolves to pounce on them, dealing bonus physical damage capped against monsters. This skill does percentage maximum health damage and will allow you to shred through champions. You can also use this skill to get objectives like Baron and Dragon just that little bit faster, or simply to help you clear mainly for the early game, because later on you don't really need this to clear at all. Combining the damage from this skill with your passive effect and Blade of the Rune King is going to do a serious amount of damage to everything. Her fourth ability, Lamp's Respite. Lamp blesses the ground under an allied champion or herself for 3 seconds. While in the area, all units cannot be reduced below 10% of their maximum health. Units in the area who reach the threshold cannot be healed while within for the remaining of the duration. All units within the zone are healed immediately after blessing ends. This skill is very straightforward. It doesn't allow anything within its area of effect to get reduced below 10% health. This really helps you against champions with single burst rotation like Syndra or LeBlanc, to pretty much turn the fight back onto them. And if you build a lot of lifesteal, you will easily be able to get your health back very quickly once this ability ends. Leveling these abilities. On level 1, I take a point into my W, as this gives you the best damage increase to clear your first camp with, and it also provides you with a sustain. Then on level 2 I take my Q, combining the skill with your W will just destroy camps like it's nothing, making your buff clear very quick. And on level 3 you can either take a point into your E to start ganking, or you can take a second point into your Q for a faster clear speed. When it comes to maxing, I will max my Q first to get the best jungle clear and overall most damage out of her kit. Then I'll max my W second to get a lower cooldown on the ability and also make Wolf deal more damage. And I'll max my E last simply because leveling this doesn't give you a lot. It only increases your damage by a little bit, since the percentage health effect doesn't scale up with levels. And of course you level your R whenever possible. The runes. I go for 9 flat 80 marks, 9 scaling armor seals, 9 scaling magic resist glyph and 3 flat attack speed quints. I take the 9 flat 80 marks to help me boost my base damage enough to speed up my initial jungle clear significantly. Then I take 9 scaling armor seals just to get more tanky overall. Taking flat armor is possible if you don't have the scaling ones. You don't really need armor early on Kindred because she already has so much sustain that it's pretty much impossible to ever die to monsters anyway. So you might as well just build for the later stages of the game and get that 18 extra armor you get from switching to scaling seals. And this will help you out nicely. Then I take 9 scaling magic resist glyphs to make me more tanky the longer the game goes on. And finally I take 3 flat attack speed quints to help me clear my jungle faster in the early game as well. The Masteries. I go for 21-9-0, taking everything to increase my damage in offense, making sure to get both blade and spell weaving because this will greatly increase your damage, because Kindred combines auto attacks and spells a lot. I also get the sustain from Feast to give me that extra bit of mana sustain, and in defense I take health regen, health and damage reduction from monsters. The item build. I have 2 different types of builds for Kindred. The first one will be a lifesteal based and the second one will be a more tanky build. Out of these 2 builds I personally prefer the more tanky build because if you stack your passive effectively you will deal insane amounts of damage whilst being a lot harder to kill. All this aside, let's get right into the first build. Starting off, you want to get yourself a machete, 2 health potions and a warding trinket. After your initial clear you want to go back and buy the Stalker's upgrade to your jungle item and a pair of regular boots. After this you want to start building into your Devourer. Devourer is very strong on Kindred. It just gives you all the stats you need and you get the double proc every once in a while, which will deal insane amounts of damage. After Devourer, you want to build into a Blade of the Rune King, getting Cutlass first. Combining the blade with your passive will give Kindred a lot of percentage health spread, making killing any target quick and easy. Also, the active helps you stick to people or to run away from them. After Blade, you want to finish your boots into a pair of Mercury Threads. The reason I get these is because the only thing that prevents Kindred from destroying the enemy team or surviving is getting hard CC'd. After you finish your Mercury Threads, you want to build into a Phage first and then build it into a Triforce. Triforce gives Kindred all the stats she needs. It's just great. After your Triforce, you want to build into a Bloodthirster. The reason for going Bloodthirster is to help you get your health back faster once you get out of your ult. With Bloodthirster and Blade, you will have a lot of lifesteal and you also have the added sustain from your W. You can pretty much get all of your health back in just a couple of auto attacks. And as a 6th item, I get Maw. The reason I get Maw is because it gives you more damage the lower your health bar gets, and because you can't drop below 10% health whilst you're in your ultimate radius, this is perfect. It allows you for a lot of fights to be turned around solely based on the damage increase. Also with the damage increase, you'll be able to lifesteal your health bar back faster, and with this build, it's purely optional, but you can sell your boots for a Lost Whisper. The only situation I would do this if they're really stacking a shitload of armor. Then for the more tanky variation of this build, and my preferred build, the start is almost all the same up until Triforce. The only difference is that I prefer getting Ninja Tabbies over Mercs in this build. The reason for this is because Ninja Tabbies make you more tanky overall, and if you are building tanky you don't really need to worry about getting hard CC'd because you will be able to survive a lot longer. Now, after Triforce you want to build these 3 items. Deadman's Blade, Steric's Gauge and Lost Whisper. The order in which you do this highly depends on the game. Generally I'll get in the order shown to you on screen right now, but if the enemy has a lot of high burst you should get Steric's first. If not, you should get Deadman's Blade first. Either one of Deadman's Blade or Steric's Gauge you didn't get, you should get it now. The only situation you should get Lost Whisper faster is if the enemy team really focuses you and they're stacking a shitload of armor. You can easily sell your boots with this build path because Deadman's Blade gives you the movement speed to make up for it. And Steric's Gauge is just an insanely good item because it stops you from getting bursted down, whilst also giving you extra damage. The jungle routes. You can see the clear for both sides of the map in the background right now. Whilst this is playing, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about how to gank with Kindred, objective control and team fighting. Starting off with how to gank. Be sure to use your E right before autoing. This is so you can apply the stacks to your E, but also because E transitions better animation wise when you use it right after your Q to close the gap. Use all your slows, movement speed items, summoners and abilities correctly. For instance, If you know they can flash away from you, or just use a jump, apply Blade of the Ruined King first, as the slow lasts 3 seconds compared to the Chilling Smite's 2 seconds. And this is stronger for obvious reasons. Use your Chilling Smite as soon as you close to distance, and at that point they should be dead. When doing ganks, try to do Q into W when you're in range for your Q to hit your abilities. This should allow you to Q again to get almost melee range distance to them. And then the ability to Q again when you're out of the W to keep up in distance and kill your target. Up next, objective control. Kindred shines at doing Dragon and Baron, because her passive damage is not capped against monsters. Meaning that if you keep up the stacking of your passive, you can solo Dragon in about 5 to 10 seconds, making it impossible for your enemy team to react. The same goes for Baron. If you have a teammate that can just tank the hits for you for about 10 seconds, it will just die in that time. And finally, team fighting. Don't treat your Q as a damage source compared to the early game. Once your enemies have armor, it will barely do anything due to the terrible AD ratio. It is meant to be used as a gap closer or escape, so use it only for mostly positioning purposes and not for damage. As Kindred, you want to also make sure to play it more like Vayne, meaning that you just kill whoever is in your range, even if this is the tank, because you'll destroy anybody. Thank you guys so much for watching this guide. If you've enjoyed it, please remember to hit that like button below this video. If you want to see more videos like this from me, then subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!